Once upon a time in America, there was only one phone company. Just one. From the smallest farm in Kansas to the tallest skyscraper in New York, every single telephone belonged to the same company. You didn't even own your own phone. You rented it. They controlled everything. They were worth $150 billion. They employed over 1 million people. They had ruled America for more than 100 years. And then, one ordinary day in 1974, a single lawsuit was filed in a quiet Washington courtroom, and the largest phone empire in human history was about to be destroyed. The story begins in March of 1876, when a young Scottish-born inventor named Alexander Graham Bell received a patent for something the world had never seen before. He called it the telephone. But here's something most people don't know. Just a few months later, Bell was struggling for money. So he walked into the offices of Western Union, the most powerful telegraph company in America, and offered to sell his entire telephone patent. The price he asked for? $100,000. Western Union laughed at him. Their committee wrote in a report that the telephone was, and I quote, idiotic on the face of it. They said no one would ever want to speak into a machine when they could simply send a telegram. They turned Bell away. It was the worst business decision in American history. A year later, in 1877, Bell and his backers founded their own company. They called it the Bell Telephone Company, and by 1885, that small company had become a brand new American giant. They named it the American Telephone and Telegraph Company, AT&T. In the early days, AT&T didn't have it easy. When Bell's original patent expired in 1894, hundreds of small phone companies popped up all over America. Suddenly, there were 6,000 telephone companies competing for customers. But AT&T had a plan. A brilliant, ruthless plan. Instead of fighting all those small companies, AT&T quietly began buying them up, one by one. By 1907, a new president named Theodore Vail took over the company. He had a single vision: one phone system, one company, one network for the whole country, and he made it happen. By the 1930s, the result was staggering. AT&T controlled 83% of every phone in the United States. They owned 98% of all long-distance lines in the country. They had become so big, so powerful, so much a part of daily American life, that people started calling them by a softer, almost loving nickname. They called her Ma Bell, as in Mother Bell, because she was no longer just a company. She had become family. By the early 1970s, the world around Ma Bell was beginning to change. New technology was making it possible for other companies to carry long-distance phone calls, and one tiny company was about to dare the impossible. Its name was MCI. A small American startup with almost no money and almost no employees. They had one bold idea: to compete with Ma Bell in the long-distance market. To most people, this sounded like a mouse trying to fight an elephant. But MCI didn't back down. They wanted to use Ma Bell's local phone lines to connect their long-distance calls. Ma Bell refused. She used her monopoly to crush them at every turn, blocking their access, raising their costs, suing them in court whenever possible. MCI fought back the only way it could. They went to Washington. They filed complaint after complaint with the government, accusing Ma Bell of crushing competition unfairly. And inside the Department of Justice, lawyers began listening very carefully. Something quiet, something dangerous was about to begin. November 20th, 1974, a date that should be remembered in American history, but somehow most people have forgotten it. On that quiet autumn morning in Washington, D.C., a lawyer from the United States Department of Justice walked into a federal courthouse and filed a single legal complaint. The title of the document was simple. It was called United States versus AT&T. Inside that document, the United States government accused Ma Bell of something extraordinary. They accused her of being too powerful. They accused her of using her monopoly to destroy competitors, to control prices, and to choke the freedom of the American marketplace. They demanded that the largest phone empire in human history be broken into pieces. The case landed in the courtroom of a tough federal judge named Harold Green. He was not a man who could be bought, threatened, or impressed, and he made it very clear that this would be the largest antitrust case in American history. Inside Ma Bell's giant headquarters, the executives read the lawsuit and laughed. They had been through lawsuits before. They had always won. They believed this one would be no different. They were wrong. What followed was one of the longest, most exhausting legal battles America had ever seen. The lawsuit lasted not weeks, not months, but 8 long years. Ma Bell brought in armies of the best lawyers money could buy. They argued, they delayed, they submitted thousands of pages of documents. They tried every legal trick in the book to make the case disappear. But Judge Harold Green refused to budge. Day after day, year after year, he kept the trial moving forward. Then came the moment that changed everything. In September of 1981, Judge Green rejected Ma Bell's final attempt to have the case dismissed. And inside Ma Bell's headquarters, the impossible truth finally hit them. They were going to lose. So they did something nobody saw coming. Instead of fighting until the end, Ma Bell walked into the Department of Justice and made an offer no one expected. She offered to break herself apart, to tear down her own empire, to end her 107-year reign by her own hand. January 1st, 1984, the day Ma Bell died. On that cold New Year's morning, the largest private business in human history was officially broken apart. After 107 years of holding America's phone lines in her hands, Ma Bell was cut into 7 separate pieces. The American people quickly gave them a name that captured the strange sadness of the moment. They called them the Baby Bells. NYNEX took the Northeast. Bell Atlantic took the Mid-Atlantic. Bell South, the Southeast. Southwestern Bell, the Southwest. Ameritech got the Midwest. Pacific Telesis took the West Coast. And US West took the Mountain States. Across the country, Americans stood in confusion. Who do we pay now? Who fixes our phones? Who do we call when the line goes dead? The biggest, most familiar, most trusted company in American life had been split apart overnight. Long-distance bills suddenly came from new companies like MCI and Sprint. People could finally buy their own phones instead of renting them from Ma Bell. An entire way of American life had ended in a single day. But here is the strangest part of the entire story. The lawsuit that destroyed Ma Bell didn't really destroy her at all. Over the next 30 years, the Baby Bells quietly began merging back together. One by one, they were absorbed, reborn, and renamed. Today, almost every piece of Ma Bell has been gathered back into just 2 giant companies, AT&T and Verizon. The empire was broken apart by a single lawsuit, and yet, somehow, she found her way home. Some empires never truly die, they only learn how to wear a new face.